When promotion first started to drop for Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day, there was a lot of hype around it. Josh O'Connor was hot off of Wake Up Dead Man, which is an installation into the Knives Out franchise, and was a fantastic movie, one of my favorites from last year. That's when everybody kind of realized what he was capable of as an actor, especially because it was his first, big role in a big franchise, and everybody kind of saw what he could do, especially acting alongside such great actors like Josh Brolin and otherwise, right? So when the promo started coming out, it's obviously him and Emily Blunt, who's a known entity, Coleman Domingo, who's a known entity, and it's Steven Spielberg. The hype was real, that this could be one of the best films of 2026. I saw it a couple of days ago. Finally, I definitely took my time with this one, but let's talk about it. So let's get that first question out of the way. Is it one of the best movies of 2026? Absolutely not. I think that there are movies that are much better. It's not in my top 10, it's not my top 15, it's not my top 20 currently. Obviously, movies are subjective, opinions on movies are subjective, so you cannot take what somebody says about their list as objective truth, right? I cannot tell you that Project Hail Mary is objectively the best movie that came out this year, because you might have it fourth, and that's for a subjective reason, right? If you have it last, then I'm going to tell you, you're dumb, right? But for the most part, movies are subjective, so no, for me, it's not one of the best movies of this year. But, so there are some people who believe that this is a top 5, top 10, top 15 movie of the year. Obviously, it's not for me. But there are a lot of positives for this movie. There also are some negatives that really don't seem like what we were expecting out of this movie, because, again, it's Spielberg, it's Josh O'Connor, Emily Blunt, and the hype was real for this one. The first thing that I really, really like about this movie is I do think it is visually captivating. A lot of people are kind of going against the visuals in this movie and saying that they're not good. I personally think that there are good visuals in this movie. I also do think Emily Blunt gives her best performance ever here. I'm not an Emily Blunt ball knower. I've watched The Devil Wears Prada, and Devil Wears Prada 2, and Quiet Place, and a lot of her big stuff I've watched, but this is by far the best performance I've seen her give. Her range is very good, the way that she, it's kind of similar to what Indy Never Ready does, not to the same level, obviously, in Obsession, but she's kind of playing two separate characters where she kind of has to flip the switch between them, right? There's this part of her that obviously is not human or alien or whatever it is, spoiler alert, obviously, that kind of knows everything about everybody, and she's scared of that, right? She doesn't like that part of herself. And then there's the part of herself that is scared of it, and it is just human, and right, we see that version of herself a tiny bit before she sees the bird in the beginning scene where she's with Wyatt Russell, who is fine in this movie, by the way. I am generally a Wyatt Russell fan, but there was nothing special about him, in this film at least. Yeah, and so she's playing kind of two characters, right, flipping back and forth, and she does a good job of that, and overall, it's just a very strong, solid performance from her. Coleman Domingo, I think, was great in this movie. I think the rocking chair scene where it's just him and the bad guy, I think, is a really good scene from him. I think his delivery and his power during that scene is very good. Josh O'Connor definitely disappointed me a little bit, especially because of what I saw from him in Wake Up Dead Man. This could be writing, this could be the way that the character's supposed to be, but honestly, he's kind of billed as the main guy in this movie, and he is the lead guy in this movie, although I would definitely call Emily Blunt the lead of this movie. He's definitely the lead guy in this movie, and he really just does not deliver, and so I was a little bit disappointed with Josh O'Connor. This movie definitely drags a little bit, and that's something that you have to attribute to the 2.5 hour runtime. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what should have been cut or what shouldn't have made the film to make it shorter, but it definitely does drag a little bit. I don't think it's boring, but I think it just drags a little bit. I think there's a difference between those two things, personally. I think dragging is you are still invested in the story, but you kind of get on with it. Boring is I can barely sit here and watch this. I'm going to go on my phone and just not invest myself in this, right? That's kind of the difference between those two things in my mind. I think it dragged a little bit, where I was I know what this is going to get to, I know what they're building towards, I just want to see it, right? And so that's partially their fault, partially, just when you make a film that has as high of stakes as Disclosure Day does, you kind of just want it to keep going, but I understand that you have to build the world, you have to build the characters' arcs and everything, and so part of me understands that, right? And so that was the biggest negative, really, is that it drags a little bit. Josh O'Connor, unfortunately, is a negative in this movie. But I do think the soundtrack is good. I don't think that people are being fair about the soundtrack. Honestly, a lot of people are against the score. I think the score is good, and like I said, the visuals are really good. Like I mentioned that earlier, the visuals are really, really good. There's a couple of scenes that the visuals are really, really, really tight. Obviously, the scene where we see what happened to Emily Blunt's character when she was a kid, that kind of made her this way with the animals, I think is really visually beautiful. And overall, I think the visuals are good in this movie. This is still very Spielberg. This is very much his film. And so it's hard to... I think a lot of people are knocking it because they expected more from Steven Spielberg, not because it's a bad movie. Like, people are giving it like 1.5 stars. If you're watching this, you know who you are. Because it's boring. I don't agree with that. And a lot of people are knocking it because they don't think it's good enough for Spielberg, right? And that is my problem with a lot of what happens with film reviews. It is right to criticize directors to a certain extent for their films if they are not up to snuff of what we've seen from them. But if you just bash a film endlessly only because it is not up to snuff with the rest of the director's work, but it actually is a good movie. Like, Steven Spielberg is one of the best directors of our generation. He's made some of the best movies we've ever seen, right? So, sure, Disclosure Day doesn't live up to Jurassic Park or whatever, or Jaws, right? Or, you know, stuff like that. So, like, sure, it doesn't live up to those movies, but is it bad? By no means. I gave this film a pretty confident 3.5 on Letterboxd. I don't think I can go any lower than that. The acting performances are good enough. The visuals are great. The soundtrack is great. Again, it does drag. Josh O'Connor isn't great, but if you are a Spielberg fan, if you like movies like this that are kind of like about the extraterrestrials, that are, you know, about like kind of the mystery and like kind of a villain chasing down our main characters, you're going to love this film, because I do think that the chase aspect was good, and they did do a good job of keeping the mystery of the aliens while also showing us enough. And I really think the biggest positive of the movie is the last 15 to 20 minutes when she's in the studio and they're showing all this footage live, and the other news anchor is watching it. She did a fantastic in this scene. I think the way that they cap it off is perfect with that scene, so that is another really, really huge positive. So again, give it a 3.5 on Letterboxd. I would highly recommend you go see this movie if you are a movie lover, because it is a good film. If you guys did like this review, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you can to help grow the channel. We will see you guys next time.